Well, I heard your call to me, which was a call to you to do more SCP. SCP-3000. It looks like a Loch Ness monster kind of a thing. So let's do it. I don't know, and we're actually at SCP Illustrated. So we're trying the other channel that you guys was highly recommended. So let's get into it. I'm excited for these. All I can see is darkness. It's a chill, foul wind blowing me towards the brink I can't see. On the edge of nothingness, inches from oblivion. There's a sickness in my mind that I know can't be cured. Beyond me, only blackness and a single pair of black eyes. Silence is only silence. And only the eel remains.
Item SCP-3000.
Ooh.
Object class Thermule.
Thermule.
Description.
Alright.
SCP-3000 is a massive aquatic serpentine entity, strongly resembling a giant moray eel. The full length of SCP-3000 is impossible to determine, but it's hypothesized to be between 600 and 900 kilometers.
600 kilometers. 2 miles. 300 plus Yo. No.
The head of SCP-3000 measures roughly 2.5 meters in diameter, and sections of the body proper are as large as 10 meters in diameter.
What?
SCP-3000 is typically a sedentary creature, only moving its head in response to certain stimuli or during feeding. The majority of its body is located in and around the Ganges fan, and rarely moves at all. SCP-3000 is carnivorous, and despite its sedentary nature, is capable of moving quickly to dispatch prey. Despite its size, it is hypothesized that SCP-3000 does not require sustenance to maintain its biological functions. SCP-3000 is a Class 8 cognitohazardous entity. Direct observation of SCP-3000 may cause severe mental alterations in viewers.
What?
Individuals who directly observe SCP-3000, as well as any individuals within an uncertain distance of SCP-3000, experience inexplicable head pain, paranoia, general fear and panic, and memory loss or alteration.
Okay, so it has psychic powers, or at least an effect on your mind, and it's incredibly large. Two things that are pretty terrifying in and of themselves, but when you combine them together, it definitely gives that same feel that's with every SCP that I think has been present, you know? I like it. I like it.
Special containment procedures. The area containing SCP-3000, currently a region of the Bay of Bengal, roughly 300 kilometers in diameter, is to be routinely patrolled by Foundation naval vessels. Under no circumstances are civilians allowed to attempt deep-sea exploration or diving efforts in the quarantined area. Individuals believed to have contacted SCP-3000 are to be contained, quarantined, and processed at Site-151. Individuals affected by the anomalous properties of SCP-3000 are to be held in containment indefinitely. The Foundation submarine SCP-Erameta is to monitor the location of the foremost section of SCP-3000 currently located within the Ganges fan, roughly 0.7 kilometers beneath the bay. The Erameta is tasked with carrying out the Aztec protocol, and staffing regulations on board the vessel are subject to the guidelines of that protocol. For a full description of the Aztec protocol, see Addendum 3000.2.
Hopefully we get there at some
There is
point, but if
currently
not,
no known cure for exposure to SCP-3000.
Oh my god. See, when he said that they contain them indefinitely, I figured it was something like that,
affected individuals should be contained and quarantined for further evaluation.
Damn.
Individuals stationed aboard the SCP-Erameta are not permitted to leave the vessel except for the purposes of carrying out the necessary procedures of the Aztec protocol. Individuals who leave the vessel without proper authorization are to be considered lost. Under no circumstances should any individual interact with SCP-3000 without authorization.
How would you get authorization for that, and for what purpose? It's too big to do anything with. Y'all don't even have it contained. Y'all just patrol the area that it lives in. Just leave it alone.
The following is a log from Site-151's historical records written by Dr. Eugene Jett after initial discovery of SCP-3000 and the effects felt therein. The unease was felt throughout the entire crew as we descended on that first night. Whether this was due to our uncertainty of what we would discover, or something more sinister, I would not speculate. As we continued to descend, Williams began sweating profusely. When asked about it, he could not respond.
Stresses me out thinking about being in a submarine, deep sea diving, and there being some kind of just massive entity just out there. It's just like...
Stating he thought he was missing something he could not deduce. As our descent continued, he began to act more and more erratically. At one point, addressing myself as Darlene and expressing uncertainty to the task he was assigned to handle.
Mitch, what?
Similar feelings were expressed by other members of the crew, but Williams felt it the most. His mimetic resistance was by far the lowest of all of us, but he was a biologist, not a mimeticist. When we finally came into contact with the entity, he began whimpering and had to be sedated.
So you said mimetic resistance? Mimetic resistance. Sorry, there's a little clip on mimetics here. Mimetic deals with the information transfer, specifically cultural information in society. The basic idea is to conflate the exchange of information between people with genetic material to track the mutation of ideals that are being transmitted from one person to the next, in the way you could track a viral transmission and mutation. These words are mimetic, and if you understand them, they are having a completely ordinary mimetic effect on you. Mimetics in regard to SCP objects tends to focus on the impossible rather than the mundane, regarding the effects that are transmitted via information. In general, the effects themselves should remain in the realm of information. A mimetic SCP would be more likely to be a phrase that makes you think you have wings, opposed to a phrase that makes you actually grow a pair of wings. Not telepathy though, not ESP or ESP or anything like that. Okay, that makes sense.
I remember him muttering the word "no" over and over again, as if in disbelief. He went silent after a while as we approached its head.
And this thing, yeah, like that scene right here, right? Put me on the other side if I need to be. This thing is now looking at you from like a distance, messing with your mind, like it knows you're in there. And it doesn't need to do this. This is terrifying.
When I looked back at him, something had gone from his eyes. He did not even so much as blink as we made our final descent. At around 0940 hours,
the music
we
is
first
beautiful
observed the head of the entity. The unease was palpable now. Several other crew members complained of feeling hazy and of being uncertain what they were supposed to be doing. Captain Ritter, even the man's man, wrote it all off as nitrogen intoxication and forced them to continue approaching the entity. When we were within 50 meters, the entity turned slowly to look at us. Even now, as I recall watching this thing coil around in the darkness, I can still hear Williams barking like a mad dog in the rear of the vessel, screaming and flailing, shouting about how he could see it in his head. Perkins and Harrisons tried to restrain him, but he got free and smashed his face in against one of the portholes. He hit it so hard he cracked the inner layer of glass. The damage was bad enough that we had to surface. We tried to give Williams medical attention, but he was too far gone at this point.
Right, I can see that. He pumped
himself against the glass, and despite the trauma, he still spoke briefly as he lay dying. Nobody recorded it. We didn't think to at the time, but I remember it well enough. He said, "There's nothing. Nothing. Nothing." By the time we had reached the surface several hours later, Williams was dead. At the time, I didn't think much about what he had said, just the ravings of a man gone mad by the depths, I figured. I didn't know any better.
Wow. You saw like a giant... Okay, never mind.
But even now, I can still see the eyes of the creature. I see it hanging there in the darkness, illuminated by a light I cannot source. And I feel the lingering dread that Williams must have felt that night in the submersible, as he was overcome by whatever void that foul thing slithered out of. Discovery. SCP-3000 was discovered in 1971, shortly after 2 Bangladeshi fishing boats and 15 fishermen were reported missing after drifting near the Indian coast. Foundation researchers stationed in Calcutta drew similarities between this disappearance and other incidents 2 years earlier. A thorough search aided by Mariota Pasha counters revealed the location of the 2 boats, as well as an unknown, previously undiscovered mass deep below the surface of the Bay of Bengal. Further investigation by Foundation divers discovered the existence of SCP-3000. Addendum 3000.1 Initial Contact Exploration Log. Note: until this point, no Foundation diver had come within 300 meters of SCP-3000. Divers were tasked with assessing the creature and determining the source of the thick grey fluid that had been observed floating around its head. The dive team was compressed of 3 members of MTF Orion 9 Kingfishers, led by MTF 0-9 Alpha. Begin log. Alright, command, we're situated in the airlock and ready to roll. Confirmed. Go ahead and sound off. Orion 9 Alpha,
That's
check.
kind of cool.
Orion 9 Bravo, check. Alright, man, we're in position about 500 meters from the head of this creature. Make sure your tethers are on good and tight. We don't want any of you getting separated out there. What's visibility like down here today, command? Stand by. About 3 meters. So it's dark as fuck, got it. Why are we so far out? The size of this thing is hard to comprehend and it's wrapped up in itself in several places. We can't get too close because there's too much body out there. The entity hasn't moved in about 3 weeks. That's all? Affirmative. It moves slightly with the currents down here, but nothing more than that. If it weren't for the head movement that we observed by the first submersible team, we probably wouldn't know if it was alive or not. That's reassuring. Alright, tethers are tight. Flood the chamber. Confirmed.
I love the atmosphere that these videos make, man. It's awesome.
Rushing water is heard as the airlock chamber floods. No other sound is heard for several minutes. After some time, the sound of rushing water stops. You both good? I'm good. It's fucking cold. Hopefully we won't be out for long then. Turn your lights, Bill. Here we go.
It seems like both these dudes are doing really well too. Like they're taking it really well. It's, you know, until they actually get out into the water. The other dude was tripping, like he was just getting close to it in the submarine. So you know it's got some penetration.
The airlock door closes behind them. A muffled click sound is heard, and the Stravinsky activates its aft floodlights. Hey, Alpha, maybe this is a bad time to ask, but I can't remember how to turn on my lamp, and your lamp is on Foxtrot.
Here it goes.
What? What did you call me? Your designation, honey. Foxtrot. I'm Foxtrot, boss. You're Bravo. Hang on. What are you talking about?
Oh, man.
I don't understand what you mean by designation. It's your goddamn call sign, Bravo. What do you mean? Who's Bravo? Shit, hang on. I was gonna say something. Barry, are you still here? Stand by. Go for command. Hey, we're having a little trouble out here. I'm not sure who... We seem to have some confusion over designations, and I'm not sure where we're going. Where exactly are we?
This is not a good time, you're right. You have not been more right in your life.
God, do you guys feel that? I've got an awful headache. It's like needling in my brain. Something. Dive team, be advised that we believe you may be experiencing some detrimental cognito effects. Keep moving forward and we'll give you more information as we receive it.
Wow, keep moving.
Be advised that Foxtrot has a terrible headache, I think. Are we going in the right direction? We can't see out here. You are roughly 150 meters from the head of the entity out
150,
should be
wow.
getting a visual soon. Come on, I don't see anything. Where are we? Where are we? You're almost there, Alpha. Dive team, be advised, we're picking up movement from the entity on radar. Barry, I don't see anything down here. What are we supposed to be
man.
looking? All I can see is darkness. Barry, I don't see anything down here. What are we supposed to be looking at?
Oh, man.
All I can see is darkness. There's a chill, foul wind blowing, pushing me towards the brink. I can't see. Shut up, shut up, shut up! Come on, Bravo is unresponsive, requesting immediate cessation of mission. Wait a second.
What kind of warfare is this?
From oblivion, there's a sickness in my mind that I know can't be cured.
A sickness?
Darkness and a single pair of dark eyes. What are you saying?
Yo.
We're going to pull you back in immediately. We have reason to believe that Barry, is that you?
It is too late. What do you mean?
How can it be? I shoveled the dirt during your... I can hear something out there. Out for your light. Get your fucking silence. Only silence, my consciousness coming undone, and only, and only. Dive team, something is moving towards you. Repeat, something is moving towards you. Pretend to return. Ah, this is shit. I can't see. How far are we from the... It's right there! It's right there! Fuck! What are you both doing? Fuck! And only the eel remains.
And only the eel remains.
Alpha, Bravo, Foxtrot, do any of you hear us? Oh, thank God.
Nice.
Bravo, you need to speak up. We can't shh. Something has bound up the winch between you and us. We can't... It's opening its mouth. It's so dark. There's a... Where am I? What? Barry, how can it be? I shoveled dirt. I only swim. Get away. There's only darkness. Swim. Only. There is a sudden tension in the tether attached to the Stravinsky. 09 Foxtrot radio goes silent. There is the sound of a struggle through the other two radios. Foxtrot, Alpha, Bravo. Talk to me, stay calm. What happened? It ate him! Fuck, he's gone! It took him whole! God damn it, Alpha, what are you doing? Alpha? Cut the fucking goddamn tether, Alpha, it's pulling us in! Who? Fuck! Total radio silence for 30 seconds. Tether attached to the Stravinsky is pulled free from its moorings and disappears. Alpha! Bravo, do you copy?
So is he going, is he going towards the thing or away from it?
Alpha, Bravo, do you copy? This is Bravo. I'm floating in the dark. I can see shapes moving through the fog, but they're hard to make out. I cut my tether. Alpha wouldn't. I think he's gone.
So they were tethered to each
I
other.
don't see his light anymore. Acknowledged. We're coming to. Hang on. Just let me think for a second.
Oh, don't do that.
Cognition. This thing. It doesn't work around it. Your brain can't form thoughts. Oh, it hurts. It's like dying. And
That's
do you have eyes
sick.
on the entity? It's in my head, guys. Coiled up in there like a snake, and something about it is caustic. I can see it just in front of me. It's not doing anything. It isn't moving, just hanging there with its mouth open. I think it's finished eating. That fluid is seeping through the skin around its head, about a meter back.
So is it the fluid that stops you from being able to
Just
think?
looking at the stuff is making me... Oh, the room is spinning. I feel nauseous. My head isn't working right. There's an abortion under the floorboards and another in the... Wait, this is wrong. That wasn't me. Who said that? I'm going to collect a sample. Hang on.
It
We're
wasn't
going to send
you.
out a crew to get you. Just hold on.
How are you gonna do that? How is that gonna be any different, Foundation? Help me understand.
Don't do that, not... You have to be trained to not feel the things I'm feeling. Otherwise it will get into you. Maybe it will anyway, who knows? It feels like the end of my world down here, fellas. My heart is really going off the charts and I think I'm dying. I got a sample. I'll attach it to one of those little balloons and let it float up. You'll be able to get it later. Don't spend much time around that stuff. It doesn't... Your mind, Bravo?
Wow.
I think I'm dying. I'm dying. I know I'm dying. This is it. I just want to get away from here, you know. It occurs to me. Don't send anyone else out here. It's so dark. Bravo? Over the next half hour, the SCP Stravinsky attempted to approach 09 Bravo with no success. Command continued to attempt to communicate with 09 Bravo, but Bravo grew increasingly unintelligible, before eventually going completely silent. Bravo's radio stayed active over the next 3 days, and intermittent breathing could be heard until the radio ceased functioning.
He was alive for 3 days out there. Oh, Jesus.
Addendum 3000.2, the
Aztec
Protocol. File of relevance. Interview with 05-3 available. Administrator clearance accepted. Dr. Knott sits opposite 05-3. 05-3 places an audio recorder on the table between them. First of all, Doctor, congratulations on your promotion to senior researcher and your level 4 security clearance.
Man, I'm not ready to move on from that, I don't think. But I want to finish this vid, because we didn't get to finish the last really long one that we did. But it's just like stressful. Dude just like went crazy out there. It was a great rendition of that from SCP Illustrated. It was crazy nice.
A lot of
All right, let's push through, boys.
Now, Doctor, the O5 have seen the file for SCP-3000 and have approved its classification as thermal, given its nature. However, they would like a further explanation on the Aztec protocol. The file submitted was somewhat lacking in information. All we have seen is that it has serious potential during testing, but the death toll is heavy, both in procuring Y909 and refining it. I'm going to ask some questions, and I would like you to answer them as thoroughly as you can, please.
Okay.
Of course.
Thorough.
What is the Aztec protocol? What is Y909, and what have you discovered about it? The Aztec protocol is a method for gathering and processing the Y909 compound. It's a thick, brackish grey fluid that SCP-3000 excretes as part of its metabolism. We don't know the exact method by which it does this, but we have some ideas, and none of them are great for us. Initially we thought it was bleeding. The first team we sent down to look at SCP-3000 went down to collect blood samples for analysis. When SCP-3000 attacked and consumed them, and began producing more of the substance, we realised that we were looking at something different entirely.
Okay.
It's definitely not blood.
I was about to say, is it like stomach acid
It's
or
more
something?
akin to prion slurry. It's extremely toxic, and spending too much time around the stuff causes a lot of the same effects as exposure to SCP-3000 does. Paranoia, memory loss, suicidal thoughts, etc. Refining the raw Y909, what the processors call eel jelly, allows us to create amnestics more effective than any we've had access to in the history of this organization.
Wow.
Herein lies the ethical dilemma. SCP-3000 only creates Y909 after eating, and it only eats humans.
Damn.
Remember when I said we had some ideas about how it does this?
Oh, no.
Some of our biologists have hypothesized that SCP-3000 is breaking down whatever makes sapient creatures sapient, filtering it through some part of its skin, and the residual either is what we collect.
But why do you need it? You don't need it. You don't have to do this.
You want to know something really fucked up? We've taken radiographs of this thing, trying to see what's going on inside of it. It's full of dead human bodies. It's not digesting them at all. It's doing something else. And the end result is Y909.
No.
When we first started using Y909 in our amnestics programs, we tried to synthesize it. We got something close to that, what we were looking for, Y919. But the side effects were catastrophic. The amnestics would work. We could get people to forget events, people, and so on. But then they would start to forget other things too. The mental deterioration would rapidly increase until there was nothing left.
And this guy's affected too, just by being close to it.
A few of the researchers thought we might be able to figure out how to decrease the severity of those side effects, but the cost to continue those trials would have been astronomical, and the program was discontinued. It's no secret what we're doing here is abhorrent. The ethics committee, the classification committee, they're all looking at ways to make this more tolerable than what it is. But the hard truth is, if we want to continue to use modern amnestics, we have to have Y909. If we want to have Y909, then we have to feed D-class personnel to SCP-3000.
Oh.
Otherwise we'd be forced to go back to the metaphorical dark ages, where we were amnesitizing people with opiates and chloroform.
Oh my god.
The good news is we're developing ROVs that should be able to take over the job of collecting the raw material from our dive teams. This will eliminate any chance of accidental casualties like we've had in the past, and is a good first step. For everything else, only time will tell.
Yo.
This is enlightening information, Doctor. Maintain the protocol for now and collect more for the use of amnestics. I want you to take full responsibility for the remote operated vehicle program you are working on, and I will contact you in 2 weeks expecting a positive update. Until then, keep using the MTF.
Keep doing
For God's
it.
sake, don't kill all of our men, and leave some D-class for 049 at least, else our bargain with him and the 001 issue will go to shit.
I'll look that up later. It's a good reference, but I have to look it up another time. I'm new to this. So they're gonna feed, and you guys told me last time D-class personnel are like death row inmates, you know, people with no rights stricken from them. Got it. It doesn't make this any easier because it doesn't seem like they die. Do they die when they go inside of it, or they just don't get digested? That doesn't mean that they don't die. Okay then. Well, there you go. SCP-3000 is a deep sea horror that will fill your nightmares. Even though you won't have to remember why you're scared for too long, even though there's only darkness, there's only the eel. As we read before, there's a sickness in my mind that I know can't be cured. Beyond me is only blackness and a single pair of black eyes. Silence. Only silence. My consciousness is coming undone. And only the eel remains. Very nice. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for coming through for this. And we'll continue SCPs again tomorrow, I think. Peace.